Terence Crawford isn't just aiming for greatness, he's calling his shot. The undisputed welterweight king says once he beats Canelo Alvarez, he won't just be the best of this era, he'll be top 3 all-time on the pound-for-pound list. A bold claim, but is he right? In a recent interview, he acknowledged the challenge ahead while making it clear. No one truly knows how it will play out.
It don't even bother me. Me and Canelo is going to be a tough fight for both of us, you know. But at the same time, I don't know. Like I always say, I say the same thing every time somebody asks me. Like when they ask me about the Spence fight, do I think that's going to be the toughest fight of my career? And I said, I don't know. I ain't never been in the ring with Spence. I never sparred him, never been in the ring, never felt his punching power, no nothing. So I can't give you a blind judgment on if I think that's going to be the toughest fight of my career.
Crawford draws a comparison to the Spence fight, where many assumed he'd be in deep waters, only for him to dominate. Now against Canelo, the same questions are being asked, but Crawford refuses to make assumptions.
We all know Canelo is great. We all know he's big. We all know he's strong. He got good timing. He got good punching power. He moves his head well. He's a good counter puncher. We all know all that things about Canelo, you know, but we never seen Terence Crawford at 168, so we don't know.
Size, power, and skill, Canelo has all the advantages on paper, but Crawford believes the unknown factor is just as important. Until the fight happens, no one can say for sure how he'll handle the move up or how Canelo will deal with his style.
Take his punch power. We don't know if Canelo is going to be able to box, you know, toe for toe with Terence. We don't know if Canelo's going to be able to push him around. We know Canelo's going to be able to walk him down because he's been in that weight class longer than Crawford. But in reality, we don't know. You know, that's why two fighters fight.
Crawford isn't dismissing the challenges. He's just reminding everyone that predictions mean nothing until the first punch lands. And if history has taught us anything, doubting Crawford has never been a safe bet. Terence Crawford isn't obsessed with chasing a knockout against Canelo Alvarez. His focus is on winning, period. While many question how he'll handle the size disadvantage, Crawford sees a different angle. He believes his speed and sharpness, honed in lighter divisions, could expose weaknesses in Canelo's game.
I don't gotta stop him. I just gotta beat him. I'm not going in there looking to knock Canelo out. Could it happen? Yes, absolutely. You know, when I look at Canelo, he's a smaller, bigger guy moving up in divisions. You know, being that these big guys are slower, so they might catch him with something, but he might see it at the last moment. You know, they might catch him with a hard shot, but he's able to roll and turn with it.
Crawford acknowledges Canelo's defensive skills, his ability to slip, roll, and take the sting off big punches. But he also sees a key difference between Canelo's past opponents and himself. Unlike the slower, heavier fighters Canelo has been dealing with, Crawford brings elite speed and precision from the lower weight classes.
You know, because he's coming from a smaller weight class that was faster, that was sharper. You know, I'm coming from a smaller weight class that's faster and sharper. So if he get hit with a sharp punch that he don't see, he's definitely capable of getting hurt. He's not a machine. He's human just like me. He bleeds just like me. So I'm not going in there thinking, oh, I can't hurt this guy. But I'm not going in there at the same time. I'm trying to knock him out. I'm trying to, you know, fight my fight. And if the knockout is there, then of course I'm gonna take it.
Crawford isn't underestimating Canelo, but he's also not buying into the idea that he's invincible. He's preparing for a 12-round battle, but if the opportunity to finish Canelo presents itself, he won't hesitate to take it. Terence Crawford looks set to take on Canelo Alvarez in a blockbuster fight later this year. They are two of the best fighters in the world at the moment. Crawford reckons he'll become a top 3 all-time pound-for-pound fighter with a win against Canelo Alvarez, and believes he'll take a place alongside legends like Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Robinson. Crawford has spent the majority of his career at 147 pounds, while his last fight was at 154 pounds. To fight Canelo, he'd have to move up to 168 pounds, which would make a win even more impressive.
How do you think this fight will impact your legacy in boxing history when it's all said and done if you beat Canelo Alvarez?
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna say if, I'm gonna say when. When I beat Canelo Alvarez, I think I'm gonna be, you know, top 3. pound for pound best fighters ever. You know, I think Canelo is up there with the all-time greats too. You know, I already look at myself as an all-time great.
Crawford makes it clear, this isn't just another fight. If he pulls it off, he believes it will be one of the most extraordinary accomplishments in boxing history. If Crawford can defeat Canelo while skipping multiple weight classes, he believes he'll enter that same rare air. But he's also aware of one of boxing's oldest sayings, a great big man beats a great small man. Many expect size to be the deciding factor, but Crawford wants to prove that skill, IQ, and timing can overcome even the toughest physical disadvantages. Canelo Alvarez, meanwhile, is looking to become the undisputed super middleweight champion again. Alvarez fights William Skull on May 3rd. Crawford is ready to dethrone the Mexican, saying,
to move up essentially 3 weight classes, you know, and dethrone the soon to be undisputed 168 champion without even stepping foot in that weight class or the weight class below. Is like some Henry Armstrong stuff. It's gonna be amazing. Like they always say, you never see a great small guy beat a great big guy. And I want to change that narrative.
Crawford isn't throwing his name into the GOAT conversation lightly. He puts himself in a category alongside Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Robinson, 2 fighters universally recognized as among the greatest to ever lace up gloves.
You mentioned top 3. We got to find out who's the other 2 who you think are going to be on that list for you.
I think Sugar Ray Robinson and Ali. I think those 2 is, you know, stamp. You know, Ali and Sugar Ray Robinson, I don't think them spots will ever be taken.
Robinson, often considered the pound-for-pound king, dominated multiple weight classes with breathtaking skill and power. Ali, the heavyweight icon, transcended the sport with his legacy, skill, and historical impact. By targeting Canelo, a fighter Crawford himself respects as an all-time great, he's aiming for a defining victory that would place him in that same legendary company. The road to becoming one of the top 3 fighters ever isn't just about winning, it's about how you win, who you beat, and the history you make along the way. Crawford sees this as his moment to rewrite the story of weight classes, size advantages, and what truly makes a fighter great. Terence Crawford's ambitions are sky high, but not everyone believes his move to 168 to fight Canelo Alvarez is a smart decision. Juan Manuel Marquez, one of the greatest counterpunchers in boxing history, is sounding the alarm, warning that size matters, and in boxing, weight classes exist for a reason. Throughout history, fighters who dared to jump multiple divisions without properly adapting have suffered the consequences. From Roy Jones Jr. losing his prime after moving back down from heavyweight to Kell Brook getting broken by Gennady Golovkin, the pattern is clear. Climbing too high can come at a steep price. Crawford isn't just moving up, he's skipping over multiple divisions entirely, heading straight into the ring with one of the most physically dominant fighters of this generation.
Terence Crawford is a good fighter, but in the sport of boxing, it has divisions. You know what I mean? You know?
Right, weight classes.
You know what?
Right?
Yeah, weight classes
for a reason.
Weight classes for and Terence Crawford is a good fighter in super lightweight, welterweight, super welterweight, but I think more. I remember when Terence Crawford fought with Madrimov.
Marquez's warning isn't just speculation, it's based on a brutal reality. Canelo Alvarez has spent years physically dominating elite fighters at 168. He bullied Callum Smith, walked down Billy Joe Saunders, and stopped Caleb Plant. Even Gennady Golovkin, a natural middleweight known for his iron chin, felt the effects of Canelo's power in their 3rd fight. Meanwhile, Crawford has never fought beyond 147 pounds, meaning his body is entirely untested at super middleweight. The risk isn't just about power, it's about durability. A naturally bigger fighter absorbs shots differently, and what might stun a welterweight could bounce off a super middleweight. If Crawford finds himself unable to hurt Canelo, he'll be forced into a 12-round war against an opponent who has the size, strength, and experience to bully him. Marquez, a legend who took calculated risks throughout his career, knows the danger of size disparities. He fought Floyd Mayweather Jr. at welterweight and felt the difference in power, timing, and physicality. Now he's warning Crawford that stepping into Canelo's division isn't just an uphill battle, it could be a career-altering mistake. Not Not everyone is sold on the idea of Terence Crawford challenging Canelo Alvarez at 168 pounds. Legendary trainer Abel Sanchez, known for molding Gennady Golovkin into one of the most feared punchers in boxing, is completely unimpressed by the matchup. To him, this fight isn't about skill, it's about size, power, and physical reality. Crawford might be a generational talent, but there's a reason elite fighters stay within their natural weight ranges. Even if Crawford bulks up, he'll still be a smaller man entering the ring against a physically dominant opponent who has taken bombs from natural super middleweights and barely flinched.
The fight he's got coming up after Skull, I think, is ridiculous. Two different people. Yes, Crawford will gain the weight. Yes, he will be probably around 160, 162, 63 in fight time, but Canelo's a bigger man. Canelo is taking shots from big guys, and nobody has done anything to him. So I don't think this fight I don't think, I've said it all along, I don't think this fight should happen, but the money was there for both of them, so it's being made, but it's not a fight that I would pay to see.
Sanchez's criticism isn't just about the fight being a mismatch, it's about Canelo's durability. The Mexican superstar has absorbed clean shots from the likes of GGG, Sergey Kovalev, and Dmitry Bivol without ever looking seriously hurt. Meanwhile, Crawford's power, while effective at welterweight, remains untested at the higher divisions. Even if Crawford lands clean, Sanchez doesn't believe he has the firepower to make Canelo respect him. This fight isn't just a skill test, it's a physics experiment. Canelo isn't just bigger, he's built for the weight class. He cuts down from 174.5 plus pounds and rehydrates into a solid, explosive powerhouse. Crawford, on the other hand, has spent his career at 135, 140, and 147, where his speed and sharpness were his biggest advantages. Sanchez's stance is clear. This isn't a pound-for-pound showdown. It's a financial spectacle that could end with Crawford realizing that size does matter in boxing. Teddy Atlas has seen it all in his 50 years in boxing, from training world champions to analyzing the sport's biggest fights. When it comes to Canelo versus Crawford, Atlas isn't just looking at resumes. He's looking at the intangibles. While many experts believe Canelo's size will be the deciding factor, Atlas sees something different in Crawford, something special. Unlike Canelo, who has spent years facing elite competition across multiple weight classes, Crawford has dominated his divisions without the same star-studded resume. But Atlas believes quality over quantity matters, and what he sees in Crawford is enough to convince him that size alone won't determine the outcome.
Both guys are special, but I think Crawford has special. I know he hasn't fought the level, or not just the level, but he doesn't have the resume as thick, obviously, as Canelo does of so many fights, of so many champions. But I'll tell you something, he's got enough, and he's got enough for me. I think I've been in the business 50 years. He's got enough for me where it's caught my eye, where I believe that there is something very special.
Atlas is talking about intangibles, that factor that separates great fighters from generational ones. Canelo's experience is undeniable, but Crawford possesses something Atlas believes could be the difference maker: elite instincts, timing, adaptability, and a near-flawless ability to adjust mid-fight. For Atlas, Crawford's success isn't just about physical ability, it's about mentality. The best fighters in history didn't always rely on brute strength. Floyd Mayweather, Sugar Ray Leonard, and Pernell Whitaker all beat bigger opponents using fight IQ and ring generalship. Atlas believes if anyone can make size irrelevant, it's Crawford.
I'm not saying they're both not special, but there's something very special about Crawford, that he has that it factor. And I think that at the end of the day, that'll be the intangible. If he's to win this fight, that it factor, instincts, all those things that go into that it factor, that at the end of the day they will show. And maybe the smaller man may have his day with the bigger man.
Atlas isn't blindly picking Crawford to win. He acknowledges the risk of moving up against a physically stronger fighter, but he also believes greatness defies limitations. If Crawford's instincts, timing, and intelligence can neutralize Canelo's power, this fight could prove that skill beats size. And in Atlas's mind, that wouldn't just be an upset, it would be historic. Keith Thurman, a former world champion and one of the most analytical minds in boxing, knows firsthand what it takes to compete at the highest level. When analyzing Canelo versus Crawford, Thurman acknowledges the challenge but doesn't see Canelo as invincible. He recalls past fights where Canelo struggled, particularly against Gennady Golovkin in their first bout, which many felt Canelo should have lost. Thurman believes Canelo's skill set is elite. His defense, timing, and head movement make him a nightmare for opponents. But he also sees gaps in Canelo's game that an intelligent, fast, and well-prepared fighter like Crawford could potentially exploit.
Canelo Alvarez is extremely hard to beat, but he's not unbeatable. We've seen him take some losses. We saw the first Golovkin fight where a lot of people didn't feel like he pulled it out. I wish Golovkin would have just thrown a little bit more body shots, did a little bit more, because I felt like the fight was his. If he would have done a little bit more, it really would have been his. Just a little even pity-pat stuff, just for the judges, obviously, because the judges made it a draw.
This is where the strategy element comes into play. Thurman suggests that past opponents have had the right tools to beat Canelo, but didn't always execute effectively. He wonders if Crawford, a master strategist, will be able to apply a game plan that truly neutralizes Canelo's strengths. One key area of concern is size and power. Canelo is physically strong and has absorbed shots from much bigger punchers without flinching. Can Crawford, moving up multiple weight classes, land something that will actually get Canelo's attention? That's the major question.
Canelo has good defense, good offense, good timing, good head movement now, tremendous power. Crawford, being the lighter guy, should have better hand speed. He has good footwork. How much he's going to utilize that footwork, that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in what type of strategy are they putting together to do one of the most tremendous things that anybody from the 140 division could do in the history of boxing.
Thurman sees hand speed and footwork as Crawford's biggest weapons. But the real question is, will Crawford stick to a disciplined game plan, or will he engage in risky exchanges with the bigger man? Thurman isn't just analyzing skills. He's questioning Crawford's approach, adaptability, and whether he can withstand Canelo's power for 12 rounds. If Crawford pulls this off, Thurman suggests it would be one of the most remarkable feats in boxing history, a smaller man jumping up multiple weight classes to dethrone one of the sport's biggest stars. But to do that, he'll need more than just skill. He'll need the perfect strategy. Keith Thurman raises an often overlooked issue in weight class jumps. Not just power, but movement. Fighters don't just gain strength when moving up in weight, they also carry extra bulk, which can impact speed, agility, and endurance. By skipping 160 and jumping straight to 168, Crawford isn't just taking on bigger punchers, he's fundamentally altering his own fighting style. Thurman compares it to wearing a weighted vest while trying to box. Extra mass may help absorb shots, but it can slow footwork, weaken stamina, and reduce explosiveness.
You know, not only is he putting on a lot of weight, which is going to be a challenge in itself for any athlete to move around athletically. You know, it's like you want to be lean, you want to have that agility, you know, but now you're holding on to extra weight and you got to move around. It's like putting on a body vest, and now you're boxing with an extra body vest on, you know? So I always worry about fighters moving up in weight because I just think it's going to slow them down on some level, or they're not going to be able to move around as athletically.
Strength coach Acosta breaks down a major issue with Terence Crawford's move to 168 pounds, how he's gaining the weight. Unlike fighters who naturally grow into a weight class by building muscle and strength, Crawford is forcing his body up by simply eating more rather than training his way to a bigger frame. Acosta argues that this difference is critical because weight gained through food alone doesn't translate into functional strength and power in the ring. Canelo, on the other hand, has been fighting at 168 for years, and his body is naturally accustomed to carrying that weight. More importantly, he cuts down from an even heavier walk-around weight, meaning he still retains his strength and endurance when making weight. Crawford, by contrast, is moving up unnaturally and will be facing fighters who are bigger, stronger, and more comfortable at that size.
Now we're talking about Crawford. Crawford has come from 140, 147, 154. He's going to skip 60 and go straight to 68. So let's just say Crawford walks around 180. He ate his way up to 180. Understand that. He didn't work out his way up to 180. That's the difference. So if you're just going to eat your way up to a heavier weight, assuming because you sparred heavier guys that you can perform at a top level against a guy who's been there numerous times, very comfortable with his weight, and coming down from a heavier weight, that's a whole different animal.
Terence Crawford's confidence isn't just about self-belief, it's about rewriting history. If he pulls off the unthinkable and beats Canelo Alvarez while jumping multiple weight classes, it won't just be another win, it'll be a legacy-defining moment. But boxing isn't just about skill, it's about matchups, physicality, and durability. The risk is massive, and the challenge is unlike anything he's faced before. Will Crawford prove that greatness transcends size? Or will Canelo remind the world why weight classes exist? Where do you rank Terence Crawford all time if he beats Canelo? Does he crack the top 3, or is that too bold of a claim? Let us know in the comments.